And frankly, it's available to employers of employees under 100 and over 100, and it will provide a refundable tax credit for those employers that keep their employees on their payrolls, and it will run from the middle of March to the end of December. So a huge benefit as well. So with that, I want to say a special shout out again to Julie Clowes. She is incredibly busy right now, and the fact that she's made time to join us is really very important. I also want to mention that San Mateo County Strong has been created with $3 million that the county put into it, and that money is specifically for individuals and families most in need to cover their household benefits, or needs, I should say, and for small and local businesses to help them pay their rent or support self-employed residents who don't qualify for state unemployment benefits. So with that, Julie Clowes, the District Director of the Small Business Administration here in San Francisco, thank you for joining us, and we would like to hear from you now.
All right. Hopefully you can hear me now.
We can.
Thank you.
You've been unmuted.
I've been unmuted, yes. That's, yeah, not been a problem today. Everyone wants me unmuted. But thank you so much, Congresswoman, and to your team as well for inviting me to participate today. I'm going to try to share my screen, not to do death by PowerPoint, but I do want to cover a lot of information in a very short chunk of time so that we can get onto your questions. And I do think sometimes having the visual can help digest some of this information. This is a very fast-moving target. As the Congresswoman said, the CARES Act was just passed last Friday. And as of tomorrow, we are launching a brand new program in order to help us get $350 billion out on the street. So this is something that I am still working on with my team. I just got off of a webinar, and while I was on that webinar, the rule just came out. So we are still digesting some of this information, and I'll answer everything that I can, and know that by later on tonight, I'll even be more educated and be able to provide some really specific guidance to people. So very quickly, I just want to review the types of support that's available right now, and I'm kind of putting it into different buckets for you. The first bucket is what I'm calling debt deferment or relief. So if you have existing SBA debt, whether you were a victim of a wildfire or one of the other disasters and have an SBA disaster loan, we are automatically deferring those payments for 12 months right now, well, through the end of the calendar year, through December 31st. And that was done automatically. So if you have a disaster loan, we've already done that for you. You don't need to do any further action. If you have existing 7A, 504, or micro-lending debt, you can have some of those payments deferred, and it ranges anywhere from 60 days to 6 months, depending on the program. Please talk to your lender. They're the ones that are able to do that for you. And then a new program I want to highlight quickly is this SBA Debt Relief Program. This is brand new out of the CARES Act. And this is pretty incredible, I think, actually. If you have existing 7A loan, or if you get a new 7A loan between now and September, SBA will pay the principal and interest payments on that loan for 6 months. So this is, again, something, if you have an existing 7A loan, please contact the lender who issued you the loan, and they will have the process and procedures on how they can tap into this program. So please call your lender. And because this is brand new, I do caution, if you do get a puzzled look from your lender going, what are you talking about? Please have them call me in the district office or my team, and we'll walk them through what they need to do and make sure they have the guidance. If everything's
Julie, can you give us your telephone number now so we have it?
Sure. Actually, if you don't mind, I give email because I can
Perfect.
get that from everywhere. So you can email me at Julie, Julie, .Clowes, CLOWES, @sba.gov.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. We also have an Express Bridge loan program, which is part of our 7A family of loans. And that's a loan for up to $25,000 that the lenders have a streamlined process, and they can process that loan very quickly. It can be some stopgap funding, maybe while you're waiting for one of the other loan products to come through or another financial assistance program. But the Paycheck Protection Program and the EIDL program, Economic Injury Disaster Loan, including the EIDL advance of up to $10,000, I'm sure is what you're most interested in. So quick hits on both of them. The PPP, this program is available through commercial lenders. So the lenders that are participating, we just propped up about 2 hours ago a new tool on SBA.gov. Type in your zip code. It'll tell you which lenders are participating. You can go into the lender of your choice that's participating in the program and apply through them. They have an application. They'll ask for some supporting documents. This program's tied really to payroll, your payroll costs, and a few other expenses such as interest on mortgage that you might have if you own your own property, or rent and utilities. So this is up to 8 weeks of payroll costs, and payroll costs include things such as the salaries and wages. It can include employee benefits if you offer them to your employees, like sick leave, healthcare benefits, insurance premiums. It also includes state and local taxes assessed on compensation. So the purpose of this program really is so that you can get a little bit of cushion to help you retain your employees, or if you had to lay them off, you can hopefully rehire them and bring them back onto your payroll.
My understanding is that if you have laid them off, but you rehire them by June 30th, you are still eligible. Is that right?
Yes, that's my understanding. And it also looks retroactive from February 15th through June 30th. So we can look back at your situation and then also look forward. So it's kind of a wider range. And the up to the 8 weeks of payroll costs is the loan portion that can be forgiven, assuming you use it for the payroll expenses. And additionally, of the whole amount that you're asking for, if not more than 25% of those costs can be used for mortgage, interest, rent, or utilities as part of the forgivable portion of the loan. So I know it's a little convoluted, sorry, but if you're looking at the total overall expense for purposes of forgiving the forgiveness piece, 75% of that money needs to be used for payroll, and no more than 25% can be used for these other expenses. And if you are a small business, you are eligible, as are nonprofits if you're a 501c3 or a 501c19. The maximum loan size is $2 million. We do have an interest rate of 1% amortized over 2 years. And you can defer any payments for up to 6 months. This is unlike any other SBA loan product in that for the lenders, we are actually giving them 100% guarantee on this. There's no collateral requirements, no personal guarantees, and no fees associated.
Julie, it says on your slide $10 million maximum loan.
Oh, yes. Did I misspeak?
Yeah, you said
Sorry.
2.
Sorry, yes, the maximum loan size is 10 million on this one. Sorry about that. And then there's the link for the new tool that was just popped up to help you find one of these lenders. Can
you give us examples of some of the lenders that are participating?
I just looked earlier and I saw Bank of America, I saw Bank of San Francisco, Beacon Bank, who else did I see on there? First Republic, I believe. So
okay,
that was, yeah. There's quite a few of them, and there's a bunch of credit unions also. So it's not just your traditional lenders.
Great.
The Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. This program is available right now. As soon as we get off this call, you can go apply. So there's an online portal. Streamlined application. As of Monday morning, we launched a new application, new portal, and under this new portal, you can apply for both tranches of money, so to speak. You can apply for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Advance of up to $10,000, in addition to any other funding that you would need. One application, one submission. It should take you 30 minutes or less to do. Very streamlined.
And what's the interest rate on this loan?
This interest rate, if you're a small business, it's 3.75%. And if you're a nonprofit, it's 2.75%, amortized over 30 years. A maximum of $2 million. And this is to help you cover operating expenses. If you suffered any sort of loss as a result of COVID-19 effects, this is to help you pay rent, payroll, accounts payable, utilities, any of your normal operating expenses. And right now we're benchmarking at, what your monthly expenses look like, kind of times 6, anticipating going out 6 months to help cover you working capital so that you can pay your bills and operate in this time when you likely have reduced revenue. So I'm going to kind of gloss over the details a little bit because this program is very generous and very forgiving. Most businesses are going to be eligible. I do quick note, because this is California, cannabis businesses unfortunately are not eligible for this program since cannabis is not legal at the federal level. There are state programs we can help tap you into though if you are a cannabis business. The application, this is just a quick screenshot to show you what it looks like. It's very easy, fast, everything's online. You don't have to upload any supporting documents. You just answer all the questions that are in there. We can also do we're also deferring payments in this program for 12 months. So if you apply today, get the money, you don't have to start paying for 12 months. And the application's pretty straightforward. I don't have every slide and I'm not going to show you all of them, but if you run into any trouble and you're trying to do this, please feel free to reach out to us in the district office. And additionally, our resource partners, SCORE, SBDC, Women Business Centers, all of our free business advisors are available to you right now. Albeit we're all working by phone and email, but we are here to help you. So you don't have to do any of this process by yourself. We're here for you. So I will save some time for Q&A because I'm sure there's plenty.
There are. So let's begin.
Great, thank you. So with that, we're going to move on to the question portion. Please use the raise your hand feature located on the lower left-hand corner of your Zoom screen to indicate that you have a question, or you can type your question into the chat and we will cover some of those as well. If you've called in via phone only, you can use *9 or *9 to raise your hand. Please keep your questions concise and we will do our best to get through as many questions as possible, but we will be ending the session right at 5:30. With that, I will call out your name before unmuting you.
All right, let's have the first question.
First question from Warren Lieberman. I'm unmuting you. Go ahead.
Hello, Warren.
Hi there. Thank you so much, Congresswoman and Julie. Thank you very much. This is absolutely a wonderful question, wonderful session. One question that I have gotten asked about this program is to understand better the $100,000 annualized cap for folks on payroll. And in particular, the questions that I've gotten asked is it that if somebody makes more than $100,000 in a year, the small business is not eligible to apply for payroll support for that person? Or is it, no, it's just if you're applying for 2 months, you'd be maxed out at $8,500 per month for what you can apply for. So if you can just provide a little bit more understanding of what that $100,000 cap refers to, that'd be great.
Sure. Like I said, the rule just came out that I need to read to verify I'm correct, but it's my understanding that it's not a barrier to applying, but that's a cap on the amount that they will allow to be annualized. So if you make $200,000 for the purposes of this exercise and the calculations, you'll only be considered at $100,000 annualized.
Great.
You will be able to have forgiveness for that $100,000, correct?
Yes, for the 8-week period, yes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
All right, next question. Thank you, Warren. Warren's on the Belmont City Council. Are you mayor? He is.
Oh, he's already muted.
Individual, Kaveh, I'm unmuting you.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. So I have a few questions and I've called the SBA and I waited in line and I couldn't get an answer for them there either. So is one is that we have a lot of independent contractors that we are paying them through Upwork, and they're mostly US based. And in the definition of payroll for PPP, do they count or don't? That's one question. The second question is, tomorrow is going to open up. I have heard that is first come, first serve as far as PPP. Many of the banks are not ready, including my bank, Chase. And what happens if the $350 billion go, finish tomorrow? And then we can't apply for it. And the third question is about EIDL, which is, I was one of the first people that applied for the old application. And from that time, it has changed a few times. And I just want to make sure that we are still in the queue. We have our basically position in the queue. And basically, because you have changed the applications, we are not going to lose it. So, that's.
Okay, thank you. We've got lots of questions, so let's try and make your questions concise. Go ahead, Julie.
So hopefully I get them all. So if you have, the one thing I did see, the rule is that the payroll costs are for employees, or if you have 1099 contractors, that's also included. But I do believe they have to be US based. The second, about I know you had a question about the EIDL application.
He's in the queue. He's in the queue for the EIDL application, but it's changed since then. Is he still in good shape?
Yes, you're still in the queue, and you should have been messaged by SBA that said, because the $10,000 EIDL advance program is new as of Sunday night. So you should have gotten an email that said, if you would like to be considered for that program, you do need to go into the current application and apply for that, because it wasn't available at the time you originally applied. You will not lose your place in the queue. It will not negatively impact your existing application.
But he does have to reapply, it sounds like.
For the 10, yes, if you're interested in the $10,000 advance.
Okay, great. Next one, should we take some of the chat questions because they're short and they're concise?
Sure. Let's do some of the chat questions. I will scroll up. I apologize if some things may be repeated.
And a happy note I have to report is, if you call the customer service line for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, we now have, I think, about 10-fold more customer service reps. So you should be not having those wait times. I apologize for that. Everything should be going along much more smoothly and faster. We scaled up as fast as we could. We tapped into every resource we could find. So. Okay,
great. All right, questions? I saw one that said, can you apply for both the PPP and the EIDL loan?
That is something I need to double check on the rules about what the interplay is going to be between the two. The one thing I know is we don't want to do duplication of benefits. So I don't believe you'll be able to apply for both programs for the exact same financial need. So like you couldn't cover employee payroll out of PPP and cover it also out of EIDL for the same, tranche. But I do need to read the rule to double check on how they're going to treat those two programs and let them work together.
Okay. Question from Carrie Bittner. If you apply for EIDL and defer, is there a penalty to repay full amount during 12-month deferral period?
No, there should not be.
Does payroll costs include health benefits?
Under PPP, yes, it does.
One of the questions here is, what happens if the money runs out on PPP tomorrow? We're going to do a fourth stimulus, and if there is an overwhelming need for funds, we will certainly, I'm sure, augment it. We want to protect the small businesses in our country.
Okay, great. We're going to take another question from an individual who raised their hand. Stephen Cosned, I'm going to unmute you.
Yes, thank you very much. First, I want to say I appreciate you making this meeting available. This is amazing, only in America. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go right ahead.
This is really not a technical question, but it's more of a, I don't know, maybe a moral question. As you know, most small businesses lease their shop space. And since the lease is a contract, and at the moment we're denied use of that lease space to conduct our business, technically our leases have been broken. So, and it doesn't matter who broke the lease, just that it's broken and we can't conduct business as usual. So why then should we as tenants be obligated to pay rent and maintenance for non-essential business buildings? For instance, insurance companies don't cover pandemics. So shouldn't it be the responsibility of the owner of the building to procure these fantastic government loans instead of passing the buck way down the line to the tenants who can least afford it?
That's a very interesting question. Julie?
I mean, the way I see it, depending on how they're structured, both parties might be eligible for assistance, and potentially that will enable the landlords to be a little bit more generous, potentially with the tenants, the clients. And you know what, I had another thought and it just totally escaped me. I'm so sorry.
No problem.
Sorry,
Okay,
this is my
it's a very
fourth
good
webinar.
question. It's a very good question. We might have to look at the whole concept of landlords generally, but commercial landlords specifically. All right, let's go on. Thank you.
Okay, Dan Kitzmiller, I'm unmuting you.
Hello, Dan.
Oh, you might be trying to unmute yourself at the same time. If you could let go of the button, I'm going to go ahead. There we go.
Who's going to control here, huh?
Thank you both, Jackie and Julie, for doing this. It's been really helpful. We need the support in a small business. My main question is that we have two banks, our banks that we work with our company on, and they both are saying that they might help us on the PPP program. My question is, tomorrow is the date. We're all very anxious. They're not giving us any concise data at this point. They say stay tuned. So tomorrow, we're worried about getting access to that money, obviously. So if our banks are not ready by tomorrow, do we sit and wait until they are, or should we contact SBA directly to get that loan application in, to get in the queue? What's your advice?
Yes, for the PPP program, a couple of things I can recommend for you. If you want to help yourself get prepared and get ready, the sample application that the banks are accepting for PPP is available on our website. So you can go ahead and see how you fill that out.
Okay.
In addition to that application, the banks are going to need to verify that information you put in there is accurate. So get all of your documentation gathered. This will include your tax returns from last year and any documentation you have to verify your payroll costs and expenses. So the payroll itself plus any other associated costs on that list I rattled off earlier. I would also do your P&L and your financial statements and have all of that data ready to go. You can go into the online tool to find out which banks, as of an hour ago at least, are committed to offering and participating in PPP. I expect that list is going to continue to grow. But so if you do have your choice of lenders, is the short way of saying it. So obviously you might want to stay with the banks you have, but if they're like you indicated, not ready, or maybe they decided they don't want to participate, you can go find a bank that will participate and go that route. But tonight you can get all your documentation together and be ready. So when you do go into the bank, you can just, or talk to the bank, you can just have it all and be ready to submit as quickly as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Right.
Great. Chat question. Does PPL cover both full-time and part-time employees?
Good question. I know it is tied to payroll and payroll taxes or the 1099. So not entirely sure how to coach you on the part-time question, but let me read the rule and we can maybe get back to you.
I think, Julie, it does cover them, but not to the $10,000. I think it's reduced to 5, but I shouldn't be saying that. You should be. All right, we'll find out and we'll post it. Well, Julie will let us know and we'll post it on the website. Next question.
I'm unmuting Daniel's iPad. Daniel, you might also be trying to unmute yourself.
Mute now.
Oops.
Did that work?
We can hear you.
Okay. Hi, this is Francesca. I'm with Sixto's Cantina and Alana's Cafe, Jackie. So hi.
Hi.
I
love your restaurant.
Thank you. My question is, in this PPP, it says about rehiring employees. So do we have to rehire the exact employees, or are we rehiring up to what we were prior, even though I believe we'll have a good percentage of what we had before? How does that work? Is it tied into, do you have to prove the actual employee, I guess is the question.
I don't believe you need to prove the actual employee, but I think it will be tied to your head count and how you.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're hiring new employees, I would suspect that could work for you as well, and you can include that in the payroll in the 8 weeks of
yeah,
payroll
to
expenses.
like just get up to the number of employees that it was prior to us closing for this time period.
Yes.
And you have until June 30th, correct?
So yeah, I think that's my understanding. It's June 30th.
That's right.
Right. Okay. But it's kind of, it says rehire, so it felt like it had to be the employees that
No.
we're hiring, but some may leave the area because it's going to be difficult to stay
Right.
the longer it goes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, a chat question. Do these programs include startups that are not yet revenue generating?
I always say everyone defines startup a little differently. You have to be an operating business. So you could have only been in operation for 2 months, and that's okay. So for EIDL, you need to have been in operation before the disaster declaration was declared, which I believe was January 31st. For the PPP program, you need to have been operating before February 15th of this year. So if you didn't generate profit, that's okay. If you didn't generate revenue at all, it might be more challenging to demonstrate a loss under EIDL, but if you had payroll expenses, you could probably tap into the PPP program.
Jane Gideon, I'm going to unmute you. You're unmuted.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you both for, Jackie, I just want to say I've been participating on just about every one of your town halls, and they are all wonderful and so helpful and so informative. I am so grateful that you are my representative. So
Thank you. Thank you.
To Julie, thank you for all the work that you guys are doing as well. I just had a couple of questions. One, I applied for the emergency loan like Monday or last week or something, and it seems like they haven't even gotten my application in the system yet. So can you tell us about the backlog and what we can expect on turnaround? Because certainly I haven't gotten that $10,000 deposit either. So I'm just wondering what the expectation is on timeline.
Sure. Because that 10,000 advance is brand new, that's only been available since Monday. Monday was the first day you could really apply for that. So my advice to you is to go back into the new online application and apply. You can then now select that you want to apply for the EIDL advance as well. And go ahead and just fully submit that application. It shouldn't take you more than 30 minutes to do that. And they can marry up the two applications on the back end, so don't worry about that. But I do encourage you to go in, one, so you can tap into the EIDL advance if you so desire, and two, to make sure that all the information is moving forward. So
I saw one chat question about the EIDL program and whether a sole proprietor was eligible. That is in fact the case, is it not?
yes, it is. They may.
Yes, okay,
All
go ahead.
forms of business may apply.
Next question.
Yes, I'm going to unmute you.
All right, I'm gonna mute.
Oh, Gus, I'm attempting to unmute you. You might be trying to unmute yourself. Okay, we're going to try someone else. Erica Horn, you're unmuted.
Hi, Jackie. I'm Executive Director of California Clubhouse. We're a nonprofit serving mental health adults in San Carlos. And I'm calling to represent the nonprofit side. And I'm looking at the different loan options, and obviously we're going to try to apply. So my question is, so some of our revenue is obviously based on donor cultivation and donations that come in, and we had a large fundraiser, of course, scheduled to occur in April. So a large chunk of our revenue that we were depending on to get through the last part of the fiscal year, is that the kind of revenue that these loans would help with?
So for the EIDL loan is meant to, it's not going to replenish losses you may have suffered, but it's there to help with operating expenses. So, and it's meant to cover operating expenses that you ordinarily could cover, but for the impacts of COVID-19 that's having on your revenue stream. So, so that's the way I'd frame. So if you have ongoing existing operational costs that you can no longer meet or are struggling to meet because you had to cancel events and you've lost, you know, some major donors perhaps, yes, I would go ahead and apply for EIDL and let them make that determination for you. Under PPP, remember, it's looking at your payroll situation and your employees. So if you've had to let employees go perhaps because you don't have a revenue, then you might want to look at that program to see if it's advantageous for you to apply.
Next question.
John Hutar.
Good afternoon.
Hi, John. How are you?
Very well. How are you? Thank you for putting this together for us.
Sure, of course.
Is a 501c6 eligible? Question one. And then second, my understanding is you can only go down one of these lanes for assistance and not multiple offerings. Is that correct?
Yeah, so for the PPP program, unfortunately, 501c6s are not eligible. It's only the 501c3s or the 501c19s, which is the veteran organizations. And yeah, I know for sure, obviously you can pick one program or the other, but how you can leverage both of them and that interplay is something I want to read our rule to see how they're defining it, because I know you won't be able to, you know, double dip, so to speak, and get the same pot of money from two different sources for the same need. But I clearly can think of many hypothetical situations where you have different financial needs, and so I want to see what the rule is telling us about the interplay for those situations. I can get back to you.
John, there is a lot of discussion about trying to expand the nonprofits to include the 501c6s. So we may do that in a subsequent stimulus bill. Next question.
Carrie Bittner. Carrie, if you could click on the unmute button yourself, and I'm trying to unmute you.
Okay.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Thank you all so much. I feel like my question might be redundant with the previous one, but I'm just trying to understand for my particular situation. I own a restaurant, and I'm trying to decide whether to apply for EIDL or PPP or both. I understand how the PPP works, and I have a lot of employees at home who have chosen not to work. I haven't laid them off, but I'm hoping they'll come back. My revenue's way down. I am operating as takeout right now, but my revenue's way down. But could I also apply for EIDL to cover things like the loss of revenue? And I had a whole bunch of produce that I couldn't use when we did close for a week. I have my refrigerator broke and I had to get that fixed. So is it okay to apply for both if I'm going to use the money for different things, or will I be denied one if I've already gotten the other?
So right now, until I'm able to digest all of the rule, my advice would be to go ahead and apply for both, because one thing with the EIDL program is if you are approved, you don't have to take it. You can always change your mind, and there's no negative impacts for that. There's no repercussions. So if it turns out that there's too much duplication or it's not going to be allowed to move forward, and you decide PPP is more advantageous to you, you can just cancel the EIDL loan. You don't have to accept it if we approve it.
Could you take like a small amount to cover the things that aren't covered by PPP?
That's what I want to look in the rule to make sure, to see what those guidelines are. I don't want to give you any bad information right now.
All right, I really appreciate it. Thank you. So I'll go ahead and apply for both and just cross my fingers, I guess. And see what happens.
So someone has just indicated that she put her hand up right away and she hasn't been called on. Yana, I think is her name. Can we hear from her?
Yana, if you could unmute yourself. There we go. You should be able to
Thank you
speak.
very much, guys, for your support. I own a very small business on Burlingame Avenue for 6 years, and I have the following question. So I paid for March, and I was trying to work with my landlord for paying later because obviously, like anybody else, I'm not making money. So she wanted me to sign some paperwork and imposing $270 late fee on me. So how does that work? So is there any paperwork? I was trying to see on San Mateo County, are they even allowed to put the late fees on you? And so how long can you stay on deferring your payment?
That's a good question, Yana. I'm going to take that as a request for frequently asked questions and put something on my website. San Mateo County has not put a moratorium on evictions on commercial. I don't believe it has on residential. So I think we should, if you would leave your information with us, we'll make sure we get back to you and answer that question.
Okay, here we go. This is
ybass12@yahoo.com. Okay.
So what should I do in the meanwhile? So first of all, there's no income. I paid for March from my own money, right? So the next month is April, and the due is on the 5th. So what should I do? In the circumstances? And she doesn't want to work with me. That's the thing.
Yeah, I can't give you legal advice at this point, but if you want to retain your business, you're going to have to find some way to pay that. And I think you can seek a loan through the SBA to be able to pick up the costs. Correct, Julie?
Right. Yes, yeah, you could certainly be eligible to apply for the programs. In the meanwhile, too, if you haven't explored most of the legal services in the counties, especially have pro bono services, especially for like landlord-tenant issues. And if we have your information, there's also another nonprofit I can send you to that they can maybe help you with that specific landlord-tenant issue you were talking about.
You know, the other thing, Roseanne Faust, I believe, is on this call as well. And we have stood up San Mateo County Strong. And there's $3 million in a fund to assist individuals and small businesses. So this might be one eligible for that program. Are you available to talk, Roseanne? Roseanne, are you on?
Keyboard's frozen. Yes. I'm going to unmute you, Roseanne. I've just found you among the 252 participants. I apologize. Please go ahead. You're unmuted.
No, thank you very much. Thank you, Congresswoman Spear. Thank you for hosting this, and Julie at the SBA. So the San Mateo County Strong Fund, we are going to bring an application process to the Board of Supervisors next Tuesday to actually set up the small business assistance grants and the process for it. We are having discussions with a local credit union that we are hoping will work out to do the distribution of the funds, and more to come on that. We're following different application processes that we've seen working well in other places. And also, to answer the question on the commercial eviction, there is no San Mateo County-wide commercial eviction moratorium yet. The city of San Mateo has instituted one, and the other 19 cities are looking at it. So more to come on that as well.
Great. Thank you, Roseanne. I'm going to move on to another question. Gus McReyes, I tried unmuting you before. Hopefully we can get you this time. I think it's working now.
Hi. Actually, Gus is my husband. So we have two different situations. Both of us run small businesses. his business is pretty much probably going to be SOL for this year. He's self-employed, files a Schedule C. Is there any help for him here, or unemployment? Like, you know, we don't know. Any suggestions, any ideas?
Yeah. If it's, you know, you as a self-employed Schedule C filer, sole proprietor, you would be eligible for both programs. I probably need to understand more about what your intentions are, whether you are trying to still operate the business, or if there's other reasons that you can't. So we might want to have an offline conversation so I can dive deeper into that, if, you know, we don't necessarily have to do it in front of everybody.
Okay, should I email you then, like tomorrow?
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
that'd be great.
And then my question would is, I manage rental property that I own. My mortgages, my utilities, my property taxes are not going away. And for April, so far, about half my tenants have paid. Is there any help for me either through, again, unemployment, which of these programs, the EIDL program, like, you know?
Yes, very good question. It sounds like you don't really have a lot of employees necessarily. It's more the expenses and the loss of rent revenue. So
Yeah.
the EIDL program would probably be better suited for you. And yeah, I would encourage you to go ahead and apply.
So that's a really good question, Julie, because I saw another chat question come up from Ann Keegan. So if you are a landlord and your renters are not paying the rent, are you in a position then to apply for an EIDL loan and at least get the $10,000 grant up front?
Yeah, I think if you are a business, I mean, if you're doing this under the table or something and you can't prove
I mean,
it,
if you just have property, right? You just have property, you have a land, they pay the rent, that kind of thing.
And so I would probably look to see how you're recording it on their tax returns. That's probably how they're going to need to verify that. So it might not be the same situation for everybody. Clearly, if you set up an LLC or other entity to do this work as a landlord, that's easy, yes. If you're somewhere, if you haven't done that and you're claiming it differently on your tax returns, no Schedule C at least or anything, it's probably going to be a little murkier. But you might want to just go ahead and apply anyway and let it be sorted out. I mean, my biggest advice when it comes to the EIDL program in particular, I'm telling businesses, you know, don't deselect yourself. Don't deny yourself without even applying. Like, go ahead and apply. It takes you about 30 minutes, doesn't cost you anything. You probably have all the information readily at your fingertips anyway. It behooves you to apply. So don't disqualify yourself.
All right, very good. Next question.
Natalie Wood, you're unmuted.
Great, thanks for taking my question. And Congresswoman Spear, I'm so appreciative of the calls you've had so far. They've been great. And so, Julie, my question is for you. I applied for the EIDL loan, and what I really want to understand is, what are the next steps in the process? So what are you looking for? Are you looking for tax returns for the business for 2019, 2018? Because we haven't done our 2019 taxes yet, and we're a small business who did a lot. We do a lot of events, and that business has just died. Okay. So how does that process work going forward on the EIDL loan?
Right. So when did you apply? Did you apply this week or did you apply before Monday?
I applied this week. I tried to get through the application. It took forever. So on last week, and so I gave up, and then I heard that it was made into a shorter form. So I applied, I think like the day before yesterday, yeah.
Okay. So if you've gone in and done that and you're set, you will hear back from SBA. If you checked the box that you wanted to be considered for the EIDL advance of up to $10,000, they should be responding to you. The goal is within 3 days. So the email address that you used on the application is how they're going to communicate with you. So please be checking your email. If they do come back and ask you for additional information, please try to be responsive and get that in. The faster you get the information in, the faster we can approve and disperse funds.
So okay, we're gonna do sorry.
Natalie, can you wrap up, because we're gonna try it. We've only got 10 more minutes. I want to maximize the number of people we can get to.
I'm just going to say, it sounds like, Julie, it's automated and they pull your records and that's how it gets processed.
Right. They will look at the tax transcripts, and if they need additional information, they'll ask you for it.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, I'd like to do a lightning round now. So let's go through a number of chat questions if we can.
Sure, that sounds great. How do you apply for the EIDL loan and am I eligible?
Have you been listening?
For a small business that's suffered a loss, yes, you're eligible. You can apply right on our website. Easiest way to remember that is sba.gov, bright yellow banner at the top. Click the link, you're in the application, fill it out.
Okay, next question.
Can you please confirm that an independent contractor can apply for both EIDL for operating expenses and UI for salary?
An independent contractor, yes. If you file a Schedule C as a sole proprietor, just despite how you're getting your business, then you should be able to apply for both. There are other provisions for applying for PPP that I have to read through, but yes, you'd be eligible for that as well.
That's interesting. So if you are a sole proprietor and you file a Schedule C, you can file for an EIDL loan and you can file for unemployment.
That's actually a good question. I don't know about the unemployment piece. I have to check with the state. I'd have to check with the state of California.
All right, we'll have to check that out. Next question.
I'm interested in understanding late fees regarding commercial rent. Are they allowed to defer?
Late fees. Are you just talking about deferring with the landlord? Sorry.
It's a check.
Yes, it's similar to that other question we had. And I think that's more of a contractual relationship that the landlord has with the lessee. Next question.
Do all lenders use the same approval standards for a PPP loan?
Yeah, their underwriting standards should be the same for this, and the banks are, that's part of the rule that just came out, so that'll be the underlying guidance that all the banks need to follow. And all the terms and everything are the same. The 1% interest rate, the 2-year term, that is universal across the board.
And aren't they 100% guaranteed, so the banks love them?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, next question.
Is unemployment available for independent contractors?
It is available for independent contractors. The question is it also, as an independent contractor, are you eligible for an SBA loan? But independent contractors, gig employees are all eligible for unemployment insurance. Huge change.
Would loan forgiveness on the PPP affect the company's credit score?
It shouldn't. It shouldn't.
Next one. Let's see. Scrolling back up here. Okay, I'm going to take a quick live question while we sort
Okay.
out. Trevor, I'm unmuting you. Oh, looks like you need to unmute yourself. Okay, I'm going to go with Sonia. You're unmuted.
Hi.
Hello, Sonia.
Hi. Can
Hello.
you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Now we've got Trevor and Sonia on, I think.
I'm muted. Trevor, we'll go back to him. Sonia?
Okay, so we're a limited partnership with no employees. Does the PPC cover the salary we pay ourselves and count towards the forgiveness?
Yes, it can. You are an employee. You are an employee.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Great. Trevor, unmuting you.
Christmas in March and April.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, my question was this: if I don't get my $10,000 advance in the 3-day window, when do I panic and what do I do?
You can definitely call the 1-800 number and ask about the status. I unfortunately don't have access to that system personally to look it up. This is the first week we're doing it, so I'm hoping we're meeting that 3-day goal. I really am.
Yeah, I think there's got to be a little patience in your first operational
Well,
week.
I understand, and the patience with it's new, but I just wondered how realistic the 3 days was actually going to be. That's all.
Yeah,
And I'll wait a couple
yeah.
more days before I push the panic button.
Okay. Yeah, whenever you bring up a new program, it has a few kinks. So I'm sure, it may take 5 days, but I think once it's operational, the $10,000 will be available in 3 days. Next question.
At what loan amount are personal guarantees not required?
Under PPP, there's no personal guarantee required. And under EIDL, I don't believe we're doing traditional personal guarantees like you would find in the normal lending world. I think it's just pledging business collateral that is available.
Will banks charge a fee to process applications?
They should not. No, if they are, let me know.
They'll be out of the program. Next question.
How is the loan amount determined?
The loan amount for PPP is a calculation based on your payroll and your payroll costs, and then a portion of the interest, mortgage interest, rent, or utilities costs. And up to 8 weeks of that is the forgivable portion. The EIDL loan is actually something SBA will calculate. I know it's a little different scenario. And we're gonna look at your operating expenses and what it is that you need to cover. So it's a calculation based on your revenue, taking out cost of goods sold, and then looking at what your expenses are and determining your financial need. And they will, when you get the closing documents, they will let you know, and you can have a conversation with the loan analyst at that time.
I saw a message. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Another live question?
Yes. Looks like Linda Kearney is hoping to speak. I'm going to unmute you. I saw in the chat that you were attempting to.
Yes, she was holding up her hand very long.
I think you need to unmute yourself, Linda. I'm clicking the unmute button. You just need to do it on your end, and you should be able to speak.
Here we go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hello, and I thank you guys for all the information. I don't know if I missed something. I'm a sole proprietor and I'm owner operator of a beauty salon in San Bruno. I'm hoping to find out if I could just get like a small business loan. And is it going to be like a grant, in the form of a grant, or would it be a loan? And if it's a loan, how much would the interest be on that loan, or does it vary according to your credit score and all that stuff?
If you're interested in the two disaster programs we were just talking about, EIDL and PPP, those are loans, although with both of them, there is a portion that's forgivable, and the different calculations for that. If you're talking about just generally the 7A loans, I'm happy to talk through the different options offline. It's probably a little too much for this conversation. But the EIDL loan interest rate is 3.75% right now. And for PPP, it's 1%.
Okay, so PPP would be if you have employees, correct?
Correct. Or
Okay.
yourself, you are an employee in this circumstance.
Right, okay. And then also the EIDL loan is also if you have employees or if you're independent sole proprietor.
All of the above, yes. It can cover employee payroll plus all the other operating expenses.
Yeah, because right now I'm just looking to stay open, and my income has literally stopped. And
So you might, Linda, want to look at the EIDL loan because you'll get $10,000 rather quickly.
okay, so the EIDL loan, but I don't have to go for $100,000.
No,
right?
you do not. Up to 100. You don't have to do that.
So I could go as little as like 15,000 then.
Right.
And then the 10,000 would be mine as a grant?
It's up to 10,000. That is forgivable portion.
Okay. And so that's the EIDL. Is that the EIDL loan?
Yes. All right. We're going to have to move on because we're running out of time.
Yes, let's take another question. Francis, you might be the last one. So one more question.
Yes, thank you for having this. I'm a small retired residential landlord in San Mateo County, and I depend upon my rental income for property and living expenses. And probably due to the eviction moratorium, many of the tenants have stopped paying their rent. Do I qualify as a small business or for any financial assistance? I still have numerous expenses, property taxes and other bills and utilities.
Mm-hmm. Do you file, are you organize a sole proprietor and file a Schedule C on your taxes?
The Schedule C, is that where I itemize? Is that the Schedule C, where you itemize your expenses?
No, Schedule C would be where your properties are listed and.
Yes, I think so. I'll have to look at my tax return. And I have a property manager and he just said, expect the worst, Francis. I mean, people are moving out because they can't afford the area. I mean, it's really bad. And so I'm kind of trying not to panic because this can drag on a long time.
Right. So, the short answer is I would recommend you look at the EIDL application and submit it and target the losses that you've sustained as a result of COVID-19. So that could be people that can't pay and are subject to the rent moratorium, and that's obviously having a negative impact on you. Or if there's other expenses that were associated with COVID-19, maybe you had to sterilize a building because someone was diagnosed and you had to add expenses for that.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
All right. So we have had 99 chat questions. And Julie, will you work with us so we can answer all of those and put them on our website?
Sure. Absolutely.
You have been fabulous. You have, for a program that is just, brand spanking new, you have really captured it extremely well. I want to thank you very much on behalf of all the constituents in the 14th Congressional District for being a great public servant. And we look forward to working with you as all of these programs roll out. And I want to thank you all for joining us. We will evaluate whether we can do this again based on the number of participants, and we'll move forward based on that decision. So thank you again. Stay safe, stay home, wash your hands.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.